When you reach 70 years old, life starts to look a little different. It's not just the wrinkles or the slower pace of your step. It's your perspective, your priorities, your energy. They all shift. And for me, one of the biggest changes has been how I see people and relationships. I've reached a point in my life where I've chosen deliberately to avoid people. Now, before you jump to conclusions, let me explain. This isn't about bitterness or anger. It's about wisdom, peace, and understanding what truly matters. When I was younger, I was a people pleaser. I craved connection, validation, and approval. I bent over backward to make others happy, even at the expense of my own well-being. I said yes to things I didn't want to do, spent time with people who drained me, and carried the weight of expectations that weren't mine to bear. It took me decades to realize that not all relationships are healthy or necessary. You see, life teaches you some harsh but valuable lessons about people. Some will love you unconditionally, but others will only love you as long as you're useful to them. Some will build you up, but others will tear you down to feel taller themselves. And it's not always easy to tell the difference until you've been through the ringer a few times. Now, I'm not saying I've become a hermit. I still cherish the company of a few close friends and family members who truly matter to me. But my circle is much smaller now, and that's intentional. At 70, my time and energy are precious. I'm not wasting them on superficial relationships or unnecessary drama. One of the main reasons I avoid people now is the peace it brings me. When you're constantly surrounded by others, it's easy to lose yourself. Their voices, opinions, and demands can drown out your own inner voice. But solitude gives you clarity. It allows you to hear your own thoughts, to reflect on your life, and to connect with something deeper than the noise of the world. I spend a lot of time in nature these days. There's a trail not far from my house that winds through a quiet forest. The trees there are ancient, their roots gnarled and strong. I like to think they've seen more life than I ever will. When I'm walking among them, I feel a sense of calm and perspective that no conversation could ever give me. It's as if the trees are reminding me that life is simple and we humans make it complicated. Another reason I've pulled back from people is that, quite frankly, I've learned to value my own company. It's taken me most of my life to get to know myself, the real me, not the version of me that other people wanted me to be. And you know what? I like who I've become. I enjoy my own thoughts, my own hobbies, and my own pace. I'm not lonely, I'm fulfilled. I spend my days reading, gardening, and tinkering in my workshop. I've taken up painting not because I'm any good at it, but because I enjoy the process. I've even started journaling, writing down my thoughts and memories. It's a way to leave something behind, a piece of me, for my children and grandchildren. These solitary activities bring me joy and a sense of purpose. That's not to say I've abandoned all human interaction. I've just become more selective. I cherish quality over quantity. I'd rather have one meaningful conversation than a dozen shallow ones. I'd rather spend an afternoon with someone who truly understands me than a whole week with people who don't. And I've learned to be okay with saying no to invitations, to walking away from toxic relationships, and to setting boundaries that protect my peace. People often ask me if I'm lonely. The answer is no. I'm alone sometimes, yes, but loneliness and solitude are two very different things. Loneliness is when you're longing for connection. Solitude is when you're content with your own company. And I've found that solitude is a gift, not a curse. Another thing that comes with age is a clearer sense of what's important. When you're young, you're caught up in the hustle, climbing the career ladder, building a social network, chasing dreams. But when you're 70, you realize that so much of that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. What matters is your health, your peace of mind, and the people who truly love you. I've also realized that avoiding people doesn't mean shutting out the world. It means being intentional about who and what you let into your life. It's about choosing quality over quantity, depth over surface-level interactions. It's about protecting your energy and focusing on what truly brings you joy. Of course, not everyone will understand this choice. Some people might think I'm antisocial or grumpy, but I've stopped worrying about what others think. That's another gift of age, the freedom to live your life on your own terms without seeking approval. One thing I've learned is that time is the most precious resource we have. When you're young, you feel like you have an endless supply of it. But as you get older, you realize how finite it really is. I don't want to spend my remaining years doing things that don't matter to me. I want to spend them living authentically in alignment with my values and passions. I've also come to appreciate the beauty of small, quiet moments. A sunrise with a cup of tea in hand. The sound of rain tapping on the roof. The way the light filters through the trees in the late afternoon. These moments might seem insignificant, but they're where I find the most peace and joy. They're a reminder that life's greatest pleasures are often the simplest. Another thing I've noticed is how much energy it takes to maintain appearances. When you're constantly surrounded by people, there's this unspoken pressure to perform, to be a certain way, to fit in. But when you step back, when you allow yourself to just be, it's incredibly liberating. I've stopped trying to impress others. I don't care about keeping up with trends or proving myself anymore. And that's a freedom I wish I'd discovered earlier in life. The relationships I do maintain are deeply meaningful. I've learned the value of forgiveness and letting go of grudges. Holding on to anger or resentment only poisons your own soul. At 70, I found that there's no time for negativity. I focus on love, kindness, and understanding. The people who remain in my life are those who uplift me, challenge me in a positive way, and accept me for who I am. I also find joy in giving back in small and quiet ways. Sometimes it's helping a neighbor with their garden or donating to a cause I believe in. Other times it's sharing a bit of wisdom with someone who's struggling. Giving back doesn't have to be grand or public. It's about making a difference, no matter how small, in the lives of those around you. As I reflect on my life, I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned. I'm grateful for the mistakes, the heartbreaks, and the challenges, because they've shaped me into who I am today. And while I may avoid people now, it's not out of bitterness or fear. It's out of love for myself and for the life I've worked so hard to create. So if you're younger and listening to this, I encourage you to take a step back. Look at your relationships, your commitments, and your priorities. Ask yourself if they're truly serving you. And don't be afraid to make changes, even if they're difficult. Your peace, your happiness, and your time are worth it. Life is a journey, and every step teaches you something new. At 70, I've learned to walk that journey at my own pace, to savor the moments that matter, and to let go of everything that doesn't. And that, my friends, is the beauty of growing older. It's not about giving up on people, it's about finding yourself.